right, welcome back. Today we're taking a look at War in the Pacific again. It's been 4 years. I'm still playing the same game. Anyway, War in the Pacific is day by day, if you want, recreation of the War in the Pacific. I thought I'd bring you up to date. It is now December the 12th, 1944. It's been pretty normal because the AI for the game is really kind of crazy. Um, anyway, so yeah, there's been some situations where they damage the pilot. I think they cheat, but the Japanese pilots managed to didn't sink, knock out number uh, any number of carriers at one point, just like in real war in the Pacific in 1942, 1943. U.S. had no operational carriers; they were all in refit or whatever. But in my case, yeah, they had knocked out. They had heavily damaged many of the carriers, so it was mostly running around with cruiser destroyer surface action groups, just trying to mainly kill transports. I wasn't really, the way the AI cheats. Well, maybe doesn't cheat, but tangling with their heavy forces might have been a little disastrous. But anyway, so yeah, but they've managed to lose a substantial amount of their carrier force. I think the next game I will play the Japanese just to see if I can um, manage it. But the amount of resources that the Allies receive is pretty much guarantees that the Japanese forces will get overwhelmed unless they kind of give up China and all this stuff. But anyway, so I thought we'd take a look at the situation. Um, Basically, nothing going on in the West Coast or anything like that. Didn't have any crazy Japanese landings or anything. Uh, they did, as in World War II, they did send what appeared to be a couple of transports up to the Aleutians to try to take something. I'm not sure what, but they were repelled. Uh, I forget which island was Kiska. I think it was Kiska. They landed a small force, but I had plopped down an infantry regiment there who's still hanging out there, probably still pretty ticked off at me for leaving them there, and pulled some forces back. Um, I'm not even real sure. Oh yeah, the 37th Infantry Division put in Dutch Harbor. But otherwise, yeah, not much. India and that area, there was a lot of activity with submarines. They were sinking merchant ships left and right, um, but managed to get enough Catalinas, uh, patrol aircraft in the air to at least get a sight on the submarines and destroyers, ASW forces, destroyers, corvettes, even mine layers or mine sweepers and little motor launches. Kind of cleared the area. The Japanese submarines are still showing up, but there was no real attempt to seize anything in India. Um, Now, Burma was a different situation. Managed to uh, repel forces, Japanese forces that showed up at Akyab. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but Akyab. They came in via land. They were marching over this river, going through the jungle, and they landed uh, uh, either a regiment or some forces at Akyab. But so it was pretty hairy in this area for you know a couple of years actually. Once I kicked them out of there, they made their way back down to Rangoon. I'm assuming, um, And I just started with all the reinforcements. The British and the Indians were able to pump into the area. I was able to both move out of Akyab onto this road and also march down from Imphal to Mandalay uh, and opened up the Burma, basically opened up the Burma road. Um, but that was a hard slog as well. You can see remnants of Japanese forces just sitting in the jungle for years now. They never move. They never retreat. That's part of the bad part on the AI. You think they would move somewhere where there's supplies so that they can get their troops back in order and everything. And we ended up just marching down, got a hold of Rangoon, started making our way into Thailand and approaching Malaysia and stuff like that. Recently, we went ahead and grabbed Victoria Point, constantly under air attack at Tavoy. Bangkok is not so many fighters these days, but is a very strong area with almost 100,000 troops parked there. So not sure that would be a good idea. Plus, the point value is 18. Why, I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, that basically went well. China kind of just, I just left to its, I didn't attack the Chinese troops. Very bad idea in any situation. Just trading artillery fire with Japanese troops, and basically, they've been sitting there pounding each other for a couple of years now, trying to get Air Force, the China Air Force into action here, but there's just very few aviation support units that you can bring into action here. So the biggest thing was the 20th Air Force, which was originally going to be B-29 striking at Japan from China, but I just I said, nah, that's okay. We'll just try to there didn't seem to be enough support with the 20th Air Force anyway to handle more than the level bombers and fighters and stuff like that were also in the game. So right now the B-29s mostly parked at Mandalay, every once in a while flying out to mine ports, destroy airfields, or at least try to destroy airfields and things like that. So pretty much useless in this area. And next stop is probably a couple of things down here in the Straits of Malacca, and then go for Indonesia, where some of the point values are pretty high. So, and then I decided to go ahead and sortie what carriers the British have out of Sri Lanka here, because for whatever reason, this is the two heavy battleships, Yamato and Musashi. I don't know what the hell they're doing. Their escorts managed to heavily damage this British submarine here, making its way back up Rangoon. Shouldn't be a big deal. Anyway, so that's the situation there. All right, sliding over to the Philippines. Instead of going for Tacloban here at Leyte, right off, I just went ahead, dropped into Mindanao, and we took Davao, took Malabalay, and next stop Cagayan, which is pretty high point value. Grabbed Zamboanga City, held on the entire time. They had a Japanese force that was parked in there trading artillery fire, but the Filipino troops held them off for 3 years. Pretty amazing, pretty amazing. So we just took Jolo, which was a stop so that we can go for Puerto Princesa here, and also get Cebu, which is a pretty high value target. And then after that, we're going to go for Legazpi, it looks like. So anyway, the main problem around here, we took Tarakan too, which is a pretty big point value in the refineries, oil, just basically took that back because the Japanese has got to be running out of fuel and everything right now. So taking places in Borneo, here it probably going to be Brunei's next or Miri, one of the two. Otherwise, yeah, I got there by taking back bases in Celebes and the Moluccas and Timor Leste here. Held on to, well, that was not Timor Leste, this is Timor Leste. But held on to Timor Leste for the entire game. Multiple battles around Koapong and Lautem. And it was just constant, constant landings, Japanese aircraft carrier attacks, surface forces. And the main problem around here is they've got a ton of these little escorts, patrol boats that just keep popping up out of nowhere, savagely maul transports and stuff. It's pretty wild. So and the carrier-based aircraft don't seem to care about the little escorts and stuff. So they can be sitting right next to 4 aircraft carriers, and not a single pilot will take notice of them. So anyway, don't know what's up with that. Maybe you got to set the fighters on naval attack, so the fighters will use cannon and machine gun fire and take care of them. I don't know. But yeah, that's just, I'm not working back towards Surabaya and Jakarta and Batavia yet. Although, some of the point values here for Japan and the Allies, which is Surabaya, Jakarta, and Batavia, are pretty huge, so it might be worth it to jump in there. That way I can interdict. I'm not sure where the Japanese Navy is, but historically they've all piled from Truk to Singapore, so which would be a nice take too, but I don't know if I'm going to do that. Darwin, yeah, really nothing happened over the years. Kind of working here because for whatever reason the Japanese popped up an aircraft carrier, the Shinano, which was based on a Yamato class battleship hull, at least historically, and popped up out of nowhere with a bunch of smaller carriers and just totally mauled a bunch of transports that were going back and forth from India to Australia. So trying to build up at least some patrol aircraft coverage so I don't get caught again by these guys. Yeah, they got away. There's nothing I could do about it, really. I'm not sure where they're parked, but yeah, Southern Australia, nothing really happened. They used to send submarines down here to try to interdict a couple of mini sub-attacks on Sydney and Brisbane. But otherwise, yeah, nothing but submarine activity, ASW activity on the east coast of Australia. Some of the bigger battles have happened around Port Moresby and the Solomon Sea, and of course Torres Strait. Submarines were here. That's why they were going south. And anyway, but I went ahead and they took Milne Bay, we took it back. Port Moresby had a couple of landings which were repulsed by British forces, and we slowly just worked our way up to catching, taking these areas here and up the coast a little bit. Hollandia is worth a little bit of points. Took Manus. And we didn't even bother to go for Ulithi, which historically was the big repair point for the U.S. forces. Peleliu was a disaster, and it's not even worth it. It's just not worth it. So anyway, so Taviang ends up being the big repair point. Um, Fleet repair docks, support ships, and everything like that. Yeah, the Solomons were a huge fight. Um, Guadalcanal was easy to take. Shortlands, but it was a lot of small surface action group battles up and down the Solomon Islands, which was, historically was correct. Uh, Nothing really down here. There was some Japanese activity trying to interdict transports and stuff heading to Espiritu Santo, Nomia, and New Caledonia, and everything like that. Santa Cruz Islands, not really anything going on. And here we go. So, Wolai was my point to take so that I could get forces in position to take Guam. That was about a 2 week slog, to take Guam, and then we bust people over to Tinian and took that after another 2 weeks. And of course, next thing's up is Saipan, but unfortunately, recon shows about 50,000 troops there. Not all of them are going to be infantry or hardcore troops or anything like that, but landing on any island is pretty much a pain because you're losing. The artillery fire is devastatingly accurate from the Japanese side. So, transports, cargo ships, small LCIs, small landing craft get mauled pretty heavily, and you lose troops because of that. So, their air forces have been neutralized more or less. They used to have a large force of bombers and fighters, but constant attack by aircraft carriers and land-based aviation have taken care of that problem. Funafuti, I took this place just to give, because the transports were going down here and down here to avoid Japanese submarines, took this to provide a waypoint from Canton Island here. But after taking Tarawa, Macon, Nauru, Majuro, Malayapp, Kwajalein, and Eniwetok, that's no longer a problem. The transports can just head from Johnson Island over there to one of these islands, then on to either the South Pacific or the Southwest Pacific. Took Ponape because the aviation forces at Guam were heavy, and I was hoping to take Ponape and stick a bunch of B-24 Liberators on it, which I did, and they did not have the range to get to Guam. So it's kind of a stupid mistake. Didn't really spend any resources, taking it, but building it up to be able to to be able to fly B-24s was kind of stupid. So now I just use the B-24s before I parked them over at Guam and Saipan. They've been basically flying on truck and doing recon and a little bit of ASW and stuff like that. Yeah, nothing ever really happened in this area. I built up Christmas Island with some supplies just in case, but nothing happened. Johnson Island, waypoint these days. Nothing really happened there either. Midway, nothing except random surface action forces would show up. The AI, I don't know what the AI was trying to do. Anyway, but we just kept our eye on them, ran some carriers out of Pearl Harbor to try to intercept them, but they always got away pretty fast. Sneaky. Took back Wake. Nothing ever happened. Took Marcus Island as a waypoint to good old Iwo Jima, along with some reconnaissance or some patrol aircraft to keep an eye on here. They have tried to take Marcus back a couple of times. Most recently landed some cavalry regiment on there, which were held off by the 3rd USA Defense Battalion for enough time to run an escort carrier force up from Guam and bombed the hell out of them until they basically were annihilated. Anyway, so that's basically it. You know, no funny business around Pearl Harbor, no attempted strikes, quite a bit of submarine activity, which is par for the course, but I think they were running the submarines out of Wake, so I really have not seen any activity around Pearl Harbor for a long time. And of course, it's just a hub of activity. We've, you know, enough carrier forces and battleship forces probably to make the rest of the game, you know, pretty much a cakewalk. Especially since the Japanese have lost so many of their carriers. They just keep doing, you know, stupid stuff like just walking right in the middle of a bunch of land-based air and stuff. And honestly, Marine Corps dive bombers and some of the other dive bombers and torpedo bombers as well, have gotten pretty good, had gotten pretty experienced, and most of their carriers were lost, but from land-based aviation, just from, you know, stupid AI stuff. Anyway, just catching you up. Hope you like what you see. Let me know if you in the comments if you want to see some more Pacific War stuff. And other than that, we'll see you the next time on Perdido Key Gaming.